Yeah, you know, when we came up with that exercise, we don't remember, of course, the details of when we came up with it, but we remembered the energetic, and the energetic is really well illuminated by what Randy talked about, which is this idea that, you know, it goes back to you don't know anything. You honestly don't know anything. You don't know anything because you've never been you before. Today's the 10th of October, 2012, probably somewhere around 8 o'clock, and you've never been this person before. You've never heard Randy talk about that before. You've never sat in this exact configuration of people before. You've never done it. So if you're not reevaluating what you want from now, you're not seeing everything that's possible. And that is just a fact. And it's really easy to push that fact aside and to act like, oh, well, I'm pretty much the same person. We like the little bit that's not, because that's what we build on. Remember they said earlier in the meeting, that step-by-step thing? That's the place you're building on. So if we had the whiteboard out, we know it's a pain to get it out, so we won't. But we're going to do it with our hands. Here we go, everybody. Talking hands. If you had a circle, right? And you said that this little sliver, and maybe it's just a teeny little sliver, maybe 10 degrees. If you're thinking of it in 360 degrees, you have a 10-degree sliver. Let's say that 10-degree sliver represents how different you are now as you were when you came to the meeting, or before you started listening if you're on the internet later, right? Now, you know lots about the rest of you. Lots and lots and lots. I'm this tall, I'm this old, I have this family, I have this job, I have this bank account. And when you spend all your time in that space, it's tempting to fret, it's tempting to habitually suffer, it's tempting to be habitual in general, it's tempting to let the survival instinct, because right, the survival instinct is the king of that area, have at you. Get their claws in you and shake you around. But if you imagine that 10% being like the new frontier, Wild Wild West, circle of possibilities, that's your journey, that's your space. If you can spend some time in that 10% place without the judgments that the rest of it wants you to have, right? So using the Lucky Charms job, you're in the 10% saying, new job, and the rest of you, we'll just put words in your mouth, they'll probably be pretty accurate. The rest of you is going, you know, unskilled job, what will people think? I'm not going to make very much. Why would I waste my time? You know, blah, 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 blah. But when you sat there just now, that little 10% of you went, this is going to be fun. This is an adventure. And because you want to build into more income coming in, take the income that's offered, right? Because you want transformation, start with something that changes, right? A lot of times our tools help you find the smallest change so that you can use that as a rope of change. Back in the day, we would say, you're down in the pit of habit. Do you want a shovel or a ladder? Right? You're on the first rung of the ladder going, I think up there, there's some light. There's a new light to see, the light of consciousness. Or I can pick up the shovel, keep doing what I've always done, and dig myself deeper into the pit of habit. It's one of the best visuals we've ever come up with. Because you can imagine if you're standing on the hole and you look up, right, it's dark everywhere except that circle where the ladder's sticking out, where you can say, I want to go that way. Well, that's the 10% way, or the 10 degrees way. Habit, shovel, shovel, habit, habit, dig, dig, dig. That's what you're good at, if you call good familiar suffering. It's certainly what you're accustomed to. And every time you put your hand and your feet on those rungs of the ladder, all that time you spent in the pit will scream at you and tell you, don't take that risk, don't take that, don't do it, no, no, no. Your system will tell you many reasons not to succeed. It doesn't often encourage you for change. It just doesn't. That's just the way it works. So you, with your spiritual discipline, have to be the one that says, I'm going to do this. And if it starts with a Lucky Charms job, at least it started. You know, it's that joke, you guys have all heard it, we're sure, where the man's on the roof because there's a flood, and he's praying to God to get him off the roof, and a guy in a boat comes by and he says, oh, you know, no, God's going to take care of me, right? And then the guy in a bigger boat or whatever comes by and he says, no, 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 God's going to take care of me. And the guy in the helicopter comes, he says, no, no, God's going to take care of me. Then he dies and God says, I sent boats, I sent helicopters, what do you need, right? When you grab something, even something as silly as this little job you're doing, when you grab it and say, that's the direction I want my life to go. That's it. That's the direction I'm going. And you put aside all the fears and arguments that your system can give you to tell you that that's not cool, that's not right, it's beneath you. That's making a real strong commitment to change.
Can I say?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. It just occurred to me, digging in the habit would have gotten me what I didn't want, which was divorce, most likely. That relationship would have shifted had I not focused more on this side of it, instead of staying in all of that, everything that you said, oh, it's beneath me, I don't want to do it, blah, 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 blah. If I would have stayed where I was, things would have happened that I didn't want to have happen.
Mm-hmm.
More suffering would have created more suffering, and then more suffering, and more suffering. So it's take that chance of doing something a little bit different and having change that you want occur, because the other way it isn't going to happen. It can't. So that was very clearly understood the other day. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So
that opportunity, and we can just feel some people saying, maybe like it's too simple. And the funny thing is we would say, you all want easy. Here's simple. That's what you can have. Maybe you can't have easy, but you can have simple, because what you did was not easy, but it was simple.
yeah.
Take 10 ads off the internet, write down what it makes you what makes you feel. And you've attributed that to saving your marriage and having some fun, straightening out his income flow a little bit, changing your income flow, offering you an opportunity to inspire your daughter.
Mm-hmm. And my son.
And your son. So that's 6 very important life-changing things that you get out of a simple exercise. That's not easy. So if you want anything, ask for simplicity. Most truth is quite simple. It can be boiled down into very, very simple words. You're allowed to want it to be simple. But if you think it has to be easy or it's not valid, it's not to say there's nothing wrong. Is there anything wrong with it not being easy? We do want you to get to the point where you feel ease, grace, a sense of balance as you go through non-easy. That we like to help you with. Balance. That's why this is my first choice, right? Shit's hitting the fan. Oh my God. This is my first choice. Brings you back into your center, gets your feet under your shoulders, and allows you to attend to what's happening from a balanced, easeful place, even if it's not easy. Simple. Simple to say this is my first choice. It's simple to say this was my plan all along. It's simple to say that. Not exactly easy to do, but will give you something very major on the other side. That's how it works. We see it work like that every single day. And that's what the Guardians and the Visionaries were trying to kind of get across to you guys, is now is a time when, those opportunities need to be seized. They really, really do. Okay, we probably have time for at least one more person, and we should probably have the rest of the council talk at some point, huh?